Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will be discussing about Terraform variable and output. So what is Terraform variable? Terraform variable, it's a way to parameterize your Terraform configuration so the value can be passed from outside of your Terraform code. For instance, let's say like we are building a Terraform implementation for a particular application, and this application it's currently deployed in West US, and later they wanted to change it to East US. So you don't want to go back to your Terraform code and make the change. So instead, you call it as a resource location, and based on the requirement, you can just change the value of this particular variable without really having to change your code itself. And this is how you define your variable. So you call it as a variable, give it a name, define a data type, uh, what would be the default value if no other value is provided, and description, a definition of your variable, and whether it is a sensitive data. Also, you can have validation. So for instance, you always wanted to have a non-zero value for your variable, so you can do a kind of a validation. So data types. So Terraform supports a number of data types. So first of which the string. So string typically represents the set of characters. For instance, here you wanted to define the instance name for your Azure or AWS instance. So you just create a variable called instance name and the type of string and give it a name. And later, if you decided to change it, you can always change it. Number. Number represents the numerical value. For instance, here I am creating a variable called instance count. Right now it is set to be 3, but in a later time, if at all you wanted to change it to different number, you can always do so. So here we are using a count loop so that like 3 VMs will get created here. And Boolean, you can, it's kind of a toggle switch, so you can set it to true or false based on which we will do a specific action here. For instance, whether you want to enable a public access, currently it is set to be true. So later if you decided to make it false, you can easily do so. So based on which we are creating the AWS instance, and the IP, public IP, will get created based on this particular value. List. List to it is used to store a ordered collection of values. For if you see here, I wanted to have the list of IPs, so I am creating a variable called the security group IDs, and the like type would be list of string or list of number, list of boolean. So this is considered as a complex data type. The other ones are like a primitive data type. So you give it a default value, and this is how you provide the value. And you can either pass it or you can loop through that list. Set set, it's a set is similar to your list, except that it doesn't allow a duplicate value. For instance, here I need a Unix servers. So this is how I create a variable called Unix servers. Type would be set of string, and I can pass the values like this. So only difference is that list you can pass the duplicate values as well, but here in set it will be always a unique values. Map, it's kind of a dictionary where you will have a key pair values defined. So the way you create it's kind of a map. And the data type, like these are all complex types, so you will just see map and the like of type what, right? So type in the sense like the value, not the key. So key will always be string, but the value will be based on this particular type. Here it is a string, so I'm creating a instance tag, and the like I'm creating couple of tags here. And the next one would be the object. It is pretty similar to the map, except that it's the it's the it's little more complicated than a map. So basically like when you wanted to create the group of related attributes together, then you would be using object. So for instance, you want to define the database configuration. So you create an object and it will have a number of configuration settings. So database will have database name, port number, SSL enabled, and all those information. So you will be creating something of this site, this sort. And finally, tuple, you can have different kind of uh, the data types together. So for like what we have seen, if it follows a string data base data type, it's a string, then you can have only string. But it is with the tuple, you can have a string, number, boolean, everything together. And you can always mix and match. For instance, here I have a object, so you can also create a list of object or set of object, right? So at the time, like object will be considered as a primitive data type for your complex data type, which is like list or set or tuple, right? So you can always do that. And output, when you wanted to extract some information based on your execution, for instance, you are creating a key vault in Azure, and you will be giving the prefix, but the suffix you wanted to get generated dynamically, like last 2 3 digit, right? And after the execution, you wanted to know like what is the name of your key vault. At the time, you would be using your output. And this is how you will be defining your output. Call it as output, and the name for the particular output. And value will be based on your instance created. For here, like AWS instance example.id, or maybe like Azure RM key vault, and then like a vault name.id, whatever is that. And description, it's just the definition of your output, so that whoever it's trying to use it, they will know it. And whether it is sensitive or not, that we will discuss in the upcoming video. So basically, like Terraform will print all those information, like when it plans, and when it execute, it print all those information on the console. If it is a DevOps, it will print the information in the DevOps console, which you don't want to have it. Like some of these information are highly sensitive, you don't want to print all those information in your console. At the time, you will mark it as a sensitive. The same case applies for the variable as well. So you don't want to mm, wherever you have a sensitive variable, you call it as a sensitive, right? So we discussed about the value description sensitive, and it depends on. So depends on like when you calculate your output, right? So you don't want to calculate at the very beginning, rather like once the corresponding resource got created, then only you wanted to calculate. This is not needed, but in a rare scenario, probably like you may be using it. So here, like I wanted to calculate the value of this output once this particular instance it's created. So variables, again, as said, like it's used to parameterize your configuration, so that the value can be passed from outside. And output, it's used to either print or to pass this value to the next module, right? So let's in terms of modules, right? So one particular module will create a number of resource, and the next module may wanted to know the information from the previous module. So at the time, you have to pass this information as an output. And using this variable and output, definitely you can keep your Terraform code much cleaner and reusable. That's all we have for this video. Thank you for watching.